Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is your home girl, uh, Arabia Barbosa. Today it's Thursday, you guys. It's Thursday morning. And in the title, I put it in Swahili, in a Swahili phrase, Ni Alhamisi, asubuhi. Ni Alhamisi, asubuhi. It's Thursday morning. Habari, asubuhi, karibu, ni umbani, ke wangu. Twendi zetu, kuja na mimi, kula chakula, miji baridi, kuvuta kiti. Kaa chini, kumpumzika, unakaribishwa, jifurahishe, marafiki yangu. Yeah. So yeah, I'm transferring everything into either Spanish or Swahili. And mostly I'm gonna be talking to you guys in Swahili a little bit at a time so you guys can understand everything I'm telling you. And don't worry, I will be translating it for you so you will know. Okay? Yeah, so last night, before I went to bed, I think I went to bed a little too late. So I wrote in Swahili my version of good night. It really means sleep well. Lala salama. Lala salama. That means sleep well. So I wrote that last night on my community wall. For those of you that seen it, a shout out to the chat. Shout out to the YouTube streets. I see that everything is not as hectic on the YouTube streets. Yeah, I see things are not as hectic. It seems like the Quamites are slowing down. Only thing people got to do is either ignore them or cocotazo them. For real. Cocotazo, the Quamites. Those payasos. For real. Yo, shout out to the YouTube streets. Good morning. This is your home girl. Bambosa. The BT 1000. Westchester County, New York. Shout out to you. Shout out to the 5 boroughs of New York. Yo, shout out to my YouTube creators. Shout out to my subscribers. Shout out to my support team. Shout out to my moderators. Shout out to everyone that hangs in this chat with me. Shout out to everyone that supports this channel. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. In Swahili, I will say the words thank you. Asante sana. Asante sana. Asante sana. Thank you very much. So it is what it is on these YouTube streets at 6 o'clock in the morning. I know some people are probably still asleep because, we had some YouTube creators that was up late last night doing their content, whatever content that may have been, you know what I mean? Because I didn't hang in anybody's chat for too long. It was already late last night. It was late. But I've discovered something, you guys. Remember when I told you guys that there is a gay club in the downtown area of Charleston, South Carolina? There's one up here in North area. It's just a block away from here. So I guess when I want to hang out, I don't have to go all the way downtown. But it's a good idea to hit both spots, the downtown spot and the spot right here in North Charleston. It's only a block away. The other spot is only a block away. Yo, shout out to the chat. Shout out to the YouTube streets. Yeah. So I trust that everyone had a good day yesterday. I trust that everyone had a good evening last night. Those of you that were up late, rocking out with King Mafia Anthony or rocking out with Pick and Choose, aka Slim, you know. I was over there in Slim's chat for a little while. And I think he was going over a video some of them Quamites had did concerning him. And it just very strange to me that the Quamites are so concerned with telling people about their behavior on the YouTube streets when they themselves are the most crooked, they're the most weird, they're the most creepy people on this platform in the sector. The Quamites are an online cult. They are an online cult. And I'm saying it out of my own fucking mouth. And those Quamites over there, they know I don't like them. They already know I do not like them. Not because so much that, they're creeps and weirdos. Yeah, that has something to do with it. It's that they follow after a man that is a deadbeat. He's a deadbeat father. He's a failure at everything he does. He's lazy. He's a doxer. I will never forget or forgive Kev Lowe and Kwame Brown sitting on a panel together planning on how to take down Farmer Nancy. I will never forgive that. Two grown men that got children and everything, planning on taking down one woman in the sector. But that's what they always do. They always attack the women. You women are easy targets to them. You women are soft targets to them. I was over there on Moonlight's community wall, and I was reading how she said that she went into a chat. She hit the panel. She always kicking down doors anyway. Shout out to Moonlight. Shout out to Moonlight. And she said someone paid an awful lot of money for her to be dropped off the panel. And that's what they do. That's what they do. They've been doing that to Moonlight for quite some time. You know why they do that to Moonlight? Because Moonlight comes in there and she talks with common sense. She comes in there and she asks questions. She don't come over there and just attacking people. She comes to have a conversation. They don't want to have a conversation with Moonlight. They are intimidated by Moonlight. They are afraid of Moonlight. A shout out to the chat. Shout out to the YouTube streets. I know how afraid they truly are. That's why they're grouped up like the way they are. That's why they run in a pack like the way they do. They can't stand alone. That's why I call them Quamites. That's why I call them beta males. That's why I call them a zombified bitch ass niggas. That's why I do that. Yo, shout out to the people that's in the building. You haven't typically typed yet, but you're in the building. Shout out to you. Good morning. And that's what I like about my channel. Because my channel, I know who my core supporters are. I know who my day ones are. And those are the ones that frequent over here. Shout out to them. Shout out to them. I guess it's a certain time in the morning where you got to go live, or a certain time in the afternoon where you got to go live. in order for people to typically type into the chat. It doesn't matter to me over here. All are welcome over here, except for Quamites. Quamites are not welcome over here. They're not. They will never be welcomed over here. But yeah, I see what they be doing. I see what the fuck they be doing. You know what I mean? I see how the way they treat Soulfly. You know what I mean? I see that. I see how they treat certain women in the sector that disagree with them. I watched them try to go after brown skinned lady. Brown skinned lady was always someone that would be on the panel and she would take on 5 or 6 motherfuckers by herself. And then when she felt like leaving, she left. There was a few times Kwame Brown had blocked her. There was a few times Kwame Brown had dropped her. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the YouTube streets. Yo, shout out to the women in the sector. And shout out to the men that's in the sector. Shout out to the real men. Yo, shout out to Lester, the YouTube god. Yo, shout out to him. What did he say? What did he say to Armando? Yeah, I like what he said. And I agree with it 110%. Yo, shout out to Lester, the YouTube god. Shout out to you, Lester. Yeah. So, it's starting to get a little quiet over here. It's starting to get a little quiet in the sector, but I guess that's okay. I guess that's fine. You know what I mean? Word. So, I didn't really hang in anyone's chat too long last night. Any replays I did them early. You know, I did them around between 5, 6 o'clock, maybe 8, 9. And then after a while, I get tired because it's the same old, the same old repetition. Repita, repita, repita. Like I'm in a classroom somewhere, you know. And there's some people on this app that got a big ass ego that actually think that some of these celebrated people that's on YouTube is listening to them. That's not true. They got it twisted. They twisted all in their minds. So it is what it is. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the YouTube streets. Yeah, I'm not going to be up here very long. Just a few more minutes more. Then I'm out of here. You know, I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day. I hope everyone has a happy Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday. Tomorrow will be the beginning of the weekend. Tomorrow will be the beginning of the weekend. This month is almost over with. This month is almost done. It was Black History Month this month, but Black History should be celebrated every month, every day, every week, every hour, every minute, every second. It should be celebrated. But we need to have more positivity in the home fronts of the Black community in some of these homes, you know, because it's unbelievable. Unbelievable the information I picked up concerning the children of Tina Turner and Ike Turner, and how Ike Turner basically destroyed people that were innocent, you know, with his foolishness, because he was very bad to Tina Turner. He treated her very badly, physically, verbally, sexually. This man was violating that woman sexually. A beautiful woman like Tina Turner, he was mistreating. And there's a lot of brothers that mistreat women behind closed doors. There's a lot of them. A lot. He wasn't the only one that mistreated women. James Brown, he had a bad reputation. It's a few celebrity men I can actually name that had bad reputation with women. Bad. Very badly. But if you look at their childhoods, if you look in their background, they came from abusive situations. Their parents were abusive towards them or towards each other. Because domestic violence is a very serious thing. Because it goes from one generation to the next generation. It happened in my family, where there was domestic violence, where there was child abuse. You know what I mean? I'm talking about blood-wise. I ain't talking about foster care and adoption situation. When I met my original bloodline family members, I found out that I didn't come from people that are innocent of a domestic violence. You know what I mean? Because my grandmother was beaten. My grandmother was mistreated for years. And people have seen pictures of my grandmother when my grandmother was young. My grandmother was beautiful. My grandmother was smart. My grandmother was a good woman. But she married the wrong person. I don't give a fuck if that person is my grandfather. I don't give a fuck if he fought in World War II. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. But what I do know, he passed that poison on down. The poison of domestic violence was passed down to my father, to some of my siblings. They don't know how to treat women. They don't know how to talk to women. They don't know how to value a woman. They see woman as being worthless, no good, somebody to play with, and then push to the side, abandon, forget. You know what I mean? And my grandfather, his father was abusive. His father before him was abusive. So it's something that traveled on down through the generations. It's good to talk about Martin Luther King. It's good to acknowledge Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali, Marcus Garvey. It's good to acknowledge Winnie Mandela, Nelson Mandela, Fannie Lou Hamer. It's good to talk about Harriet Tubman, Billie Holiday, Whitney Houston. It's good. But can you actually say your father is your hero? Your mother is your hero? Your grandparents is your hero? Can you actually celebrate the people in your family and be truthful about it? A lot of you can't. What's up, Holly Favor? Good morning. How are you? Good to see you. Uncle L, what's up? What's the word, Uncle L? Shout out to you. How's it going on in Philadelphia, Uncle L? Did it get any warmer? Because I know y'all was having some really cold weather up there not too long ago. 7-degree weather. I don't miss New York. When it comes to this cold weather, I do not miss New York. Holly Favorite, how's the weather over there with you? You know, shout out to you. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the YouTube streets. Yeah. So, yeah, man. Black History Month is almost over, but what's really going on behind those closed doors? If people really loved each other like the way they say they love Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, why did Nina Simone, before she died, because Nina Simone was blaming black people for the deaths of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. And it's true. Everyone is willing to die. Everyone is willing to sacrifice themselves, but nobody wants to practice self-defense. Nobody. wants to practice how to protect themselves. Malcolm X would still be living if black people would have did the right thing. So yes, I agree with Nina Simone. Martin Luther King would have not got killed if black people would have stuck together more better. And we don't do a good job. And nobody can sit here and convince me of anything else. Oh yeah, we do this and that. And that's not true. That's not true. Because if that was true, then children wouldn't be going into reform schools. Black children wouldn't be down there at the Department of Justice for Children. They wouldn't be going to no juvenile facilities. They wouldn't end up in no group home situations. And they definitely would never be knocking down the door of the foster care system if black people really stuck together. And we don't. I'm sick of it. We don't stick together when we're supposed to stick together. We don't. Look at what we do to each other on the YouTubes. Look at what we do. Look how we tear each other down. Don't it sound like I'm enjoying myself when I tear down the Quamites? Don't it sound like I'm enjoying myself when I attack them verbally? When I call them names? Because it sure do feel good to call some of those drop shots, no name, off-brand, drag nasty Quamites niggas. It's easy for me to do it. It's very easy for us to turn on each other. Is it right? No. But if we was really doing what we supposed to be doing as the fucking people, ain't no way in the world most of our leaders would have been murdered. Yes, the government was against us. Yes, they had COINTELPRO. Yes. But how could they infiltrate some of those groups if we didn't have black people already that hated other black people? And that's real. That ain't no lie and that ain't no joke. That's fucking real. Good morning, Khadijah. Yeah, shout out to you, Khadijah. Good morning. That's what I found out. Nina Simone said it best. She said, I blame black people for the deaths of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. I blame black people for the downfall of Marcus Garvey. Yes. Yes. And when you look at the history books, when you read what happened now, all of a sudden, all these different files and folders are coming out. How was they able to get close to Malcolm? Just ask yourself that question. How was his grandson able to have been killed? Because we don't protect each other. We don't. We don't ride in cars together like that. When I went to the penitentiary years ago, I watched the women around me. Once I hit that compound and I went to the shoe program for a little while, they gave me 18 months on the shoe program because of an officer saying that I physically assaulted her, that I kicked her. Sergeant Osborne, that bitch. I ain't gonna never forget that. And then the 18 months turned into what? Longer time. Why? Because I was a savage. Because I was an animal. Because I didn't give a fuck. You gotta remember, I was in my early 20s. So it didn't matter to me back then. As I think about it now. And people get all offended when I say, oh, so such and such is a mama or a mommy, they don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Because in prison, in the penitentiary, in some of these female institutions, there is a subculture. And there are such a thing called den mothers. A den mother is usually an older woman. She could be in her late 40s, early 40s, late 30s, in her 50s, in her 60s. And she has a family. She has a group of people that follow her, that listen to her. And she don't take advantage of them. She nurtures them. She gives them things that maybe they didn't get at home. It's a crying shame when you can go to the fucking penitentiary, to a state prison somewhere, to an institution somewhere, to a county jail somewhere, to a city jail somewhere. And the women nurture each other. They give you something maybe you didn't get in your childhood. Maybe your mom and dad didn't provide that for you. Or maybe the people that were raising you didn't provide and didn't care nothing about you. Shout out to the chat. So it brings on a different inclination when there is an older woman that does these things. And she doesn't do it for one person. She does it for groups of people. And half of these den mothers got life in fucking prison. Half of them. They ain't never gonna come home. So what do? They say to themselves, let me help the next generation. Let me help. Let me mother. Let me nurture. Let me protect and teach young women that are coming through those doors, because some of them going to have max out dates. I need them to be ready to go back out into the world. I need them to work. I need them to get educated. Yes, because when you have a den mother, she talks to you like she's your mom's. And she's going to tell you. She's going to ask you questions. She's going to ask about your education. Yes. And if she finds out that you don't have a high school diploma, you don't have a GED, she's going to tell you to go to the library. She's going to tell you to pick out a book. She's going to tell you to bring that book back to the dorms. She's going to tell you, read that book to her and to your family. Shout out to the chat. It makes a big difference. That's the only, and I don't mean no harm. That helped me while I was locked up, while I was incarcerated. Inmate number 221644. 6 years, 7 months. I was given an 8-year sentence. My judge was Judge Schuler. Judge Schuler, shout out to him. He the only one that can judge me. Nobody else judgment of me means anything. They know it and I know it. They know it and I fucking know it. Yeah. So what we gonna do? We're gonna do roll call. Khadijah's in the building, highly favored. Uncle L. And this is somebody new. I'm row 84. I'm row 84. Yo, shout out to the chat. Welcome to the channel. Yeah. And as that person was writing and typing in the chat, some people will betray people for money. That's a big thing. Because it happens in the foster care system. The state is betraying us. The policies, the laws betray the children that go into those situations. I remember when DMX talked about his mother and how his mother betrayed him. I don't think they paid her, but I think, certain other things did happen. Shout out to the chat. Malcolm was betrayed. Martin Luther King was betrayed. Marcus Garvey was betrayed. Harriet Tubman, she was smart. She carried a gun. That's why I can't understand how Malcolm X was lacking like that. Where was his security? Where was the bodyguards? If they wasn't there, he shouldn't have went on that stage that day. He shouldn't have went. Shout out to the chat. Because if you look at Louis Farrakhan or any of those other ministers from the Nation of Islam, when they get up there and give a speech, or when they get up there and do their preaching, don't they have a bunch of people standing around them? That's their security. I see a whole lot of women doing security for Louis Farrakhan and other ministers. A whole lot of women. They playing a part that they didn't play during the 60s and 70s. Only during the 80s did they have our sisters really participating in the self-defense classes. See, they not only teach hygiene, they not only teach about how to keep your house, they not only teach you how to make clothes and how to cook food, what kind of foods to prepare. They teach them self-defense. The children are being trained early. I'm telling you. It's sad when you look at the community. It really is sad. But like I said, when you go to the penitentiary, and if you're a female and you're young, oh yes, there's going to be den mothers. And there's a lot of den mothers. They're better mothers on the inside than they were while they were on the outside. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the YouTube street. And that's real. That's real. Word. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to close out this video. I hope everyone has an awesome day today. Have an awesome day today. Today is Thursday. Before we know it, the weekend will be here. I got to teach you guys how to say the weekend in Swahili. Little bit at a time, little bit at a time. Some of you are catching on real fast. I can't say surprised. I am shocked that some people actually listen to me as I'm speaking the Swahili, and they pay attention and they are actually learning it. But that's the way I intended for it to happen. You don't have to learn it, but it's a good thing to know it. And that makes me feel darn good. When I say something, when I give somebody a greeting in Swahili and they can answer me back. They could say hello. They could say, it's very good to meet you. I'm glad to know you. Pick and Choose, aka Slim, he surprised me one day when he said, I'm glad to know you. It's a pleasure to know you. And he said it in Swahili. I said, oh, Lord. Slim is catching on fast. I like that. I like that. Not only Slim, there's a few others that are picking up on the Swahili. You're learning the Swahili. That means a lot. Shout out to the chat. We out of here, y'all. Peace. Have a good day. Have a good day. A good evening. And if I don't see you no more today, la la salama. La la salama. If I don't go live this evening that's coming, this night that's coming, la la salama. I'm out of here, y'all. Peace. One.